It's 3:14 in the morning. Outside, the streets of Seattle are quiet. The only light in the room isn't coming from the moon or a street lamp. It's coming from a small glass rectangle held just inches away from a tired face. This is Emma. She's 28. She's not awake because she has a deadline or because she's worried about the future. She's awake because she can't stop. Her thumb has developed a habit of its own, a small upward flick that she has repeated hundreds of times since she got into bed. Emma feels a strange emptiness in her chest. It's not pain, but it's not peace either. It's a quiet hunger for the next post, the next video, the next hit of noise. She's looking for something to make her feel right, but the more she scrolls, the further away that feeling gets. In 2026, most of us are Emma. A recent study found that the average person now checks their phone within minutes of opening their eyes. We aren't just using these devices. We are living inside them. And today, we're going to look at what that is doing to our minds and our lives. By 8:30 a.m., Emma is on her way to work. She's surrounded by people, but no one is looking at each other. Everyone is bowed down, staring into their palms. It's a silent, invisible epidemic. We've stopped observing the world. We've started offloading our brains to the machine. Emma's day began before she was even conscious. Scientists call it the cortisol spike. Most call it checking the phone. Before she has even processed her dreams, she has processed 40 headlines and 3 targeted ads. By 10 a.m., she is on the tube, surrounded by 30 other specimens performing the same ritual. In the 1990s, this silence was filled with observation. Today, observation is dead. Emma's prefrontal cortex, the part of her brain responsible for deep focus, is currently under siege. Let's look at the crime scene. The smartphone. Silicon Valley engineers didn't design this as a tool. They designed it as a phantom limb. They used variable reward schedules, the same psychology used in Las Vegas slot machines. Every swipe is a pull of the lever. Every notification is the hope of a jackpot. Emma thinks she is choosing what to watch. In reality, the algorithm is feeding her just enough mild interest to keep her from the one thing she fears most. The silence. The phone isn't just disrupting her attention, it's replacing her ability to generate her own thoughts. Her brain is outsourcing consciousness to the machine, and the machine is learning her better than she knows herself. We often talk about dopamine as if it is a reward. It isn't. Dopamine is a chemical of anticipation. It is the itch, not the scratch. Every time Emma's screen lights up, her brain releases a tiny pulse of this chemical. It whispers to her, "Look, there might be something there." It doesn't matter if the notification is a junk email or a like from a stranger. The brain is hooked on the possibility. This is the dopamine loop. By the time Emma has been awake for 2 hours, she has triggered this loop 300 times. Her brain is already exhausted, but it doesn't feel tired. It feels wired. It feels like a motor that won't stop spinning, even though the car is in park. But the damage isn't just chemical, it's structural. Let's go back to that 11% reduction in gray matter. This is called cortical thinning. The prefrontal cortex is the CEO of your brain. It handles your long-term goals, your deep focus, and your personality. When we spend hours in the short-form world, flicking through 15-second videos, we are effectively firing the CEO. Research shows that as the prefrontal cortex thins, the amygdala, The part of the brain that processes fear and anxiety becomes hyperreactive. This is why Emma feels that strange emptiness. Her brain's ability to regulate its own emotions is literally eroding. She is losing the hardware required for peace. In the year 2000, the average human attention span was 12 seconds. Today, it is 8 seconds. That is 1 second less than a goldfish. Emma can no longer finish a single chapter of a book. She starts 5 podcasts and finishes none. Her brain has been trained to expect a new stimulus every few seconds. Anything longer feels like waiting in an empty room. She used to love reading. She used to lose herself in stories. Now, 3 paragraphs in, her hand reaches for the phone. The muscle memory is stronger than her willpower. Her brain has been rewired for the scroll, not the story. There is a phenomenon known as the brain drain. Scientists found that even if your phone is turned off, if it is in the same room as you, your cognitive capacity drops. Your brain is using a portion of its processing power just to ignore the phone. It's like a computer running a heavy program in the background that you can't close. You are becoming slower, less creative, and more frustrated. And you don't even know why. Emma sits in a meeting, but her mind is elsewhere. She tries to focus, but the very presence of the phone in her pocket is pulling at her attention like gravity. She doesn't check it, but she might as well have. By lunch, Emma eats a salad she doesn't taste because she's watching a video of someone else eating. This is the sensory gap. Her brain has decided that experiencing life through a screen is more stimulating than experiencing it directly. Food becomes fuel. Music becomes noise. A conversation with a friend isn't fast enough. She is there, but she isn't present. She is a ghost in her own life, haunting the spaces between notifications. By mid-afternoon, Emma enters the gray feeling. This is dopamine debt. She has used up her daily supply of interest on garbage content. Now the real world looks dull. A sunset isn't beautiful enough. A walk outside feels pointless. She is living in a high-stimulation prison. To feel anything at all, she has to go back to the screen. She scrolls not for pleasure, but to stop the ache. She is a specimen that has forgotten how to graze in the wild. She only knows how to wait for the machine to feed her, and the machine is always hungry. It's 6:00 p.m. Emma walks past a pub in London. Through the window, she can see people sitting together, but the atmosphere is sterile. Everyone is looking down, shoulders hunched, faces lit by blue light. She thinks about going in, but the social friction feels too high. It's easier to go home and watch a simulation of friendship on YouTube. She doesn't realize it yet, but she is participating in the death of something that used to be sacred. The third place. In the 1990s, cities were alive with third places. The coffee shop where strangers became friends, the park bench where people sat and observed, the community center, the bookstore. These were the places where you could just exist without having to perform or produce. But in 2026, the third place is dying. It has been replaced by the digital cul-de-sac. You have 1,000 friends on a screen, but you don't know the name of the person living next door. And in the UK, it's the same story. The busy high streets are becoming quieter, replaced by the glow of a billion screens. We are the loneliest generation in history, despite being the most connected. A 2024 study found that 61% of young adults in the US report feeling seriously lonely. In the UK, it's 30% of the entire population. These are clinical levels of isolation, and it's getting worse. Emma has 847 followers on Instagram. She watches 6 hours of YouTube every day, but she can't name 3 real friends. The people she knows best are strangers on the internet, creators who don't know she exists. She is surrounded by faces, but she has never been more alone. And then there is the hustle. Emma is told to optimize, to track her sleep with an app, to meal prep for efficiency, to turn her hobbies into side hustles. Even rest requires productivity. Even silence must be filled with a podcast. She is living in the age of the optimized human. Every moment must be monetized. Every experience must be documented. But the cost of optimization is spontaneity. The cost of constant productivity is the ability to simply be. Emma no longer knows how to do nothing. Doing nothing feels like failure. So she exists in the middle state, that purgatory where she isn't working but she isn't resting either. She is just scrolling. Her body is on the couch but her mind is nowhere. She isn't present in her life. She is a spectator watching other people live while her own life passes by in the background. The screen has become her third place, her friend, her escape. But it isn't real, and deep down she knows it. She feels the hollow ache of a life lived at a distance. But she doesn't know how to stop, because stopping means sitting with the silence, and the silence is terrifying. It's 11 p.m. again. Emma is back where she started. She looks at her phone and sees a number. 9 hours. 9 hours of her day were spent staring at pixels. That is 9 hours of her life she will never get back. She feels a sense of grief. It's the morning of the person she could have been today if she hadn't been distracted, the book she didn't read, the walk she didn't take, the conversation she didn't have, the silence she didn't sit in, all of it, traded for content she can't even remember. She thinks about tomorrow. She tells herself it will be different. She will wake up and not check her phone. She will read. She will go outside. She will be present, but deep down she knows. Tomorrow will be the same because the machine has learned her. It knows her triggers. It knows her weaknesses. It knows exactly what to show her to keep her coming back. The algorithm is smarter than her willpower, and it never sleeps. But there is a way out. It's not an app. It's not a fancy trick. It's not a dopamine detox challenge or a digital minimalism course. It's the one thing the machine is afraid of, the silence. Silence is the only thing they haven't figured out how to sell you yet, because silence has no notifications, no engagement metrics, no algorithm. Silence is where your thoughts return, where your mind repairs itself, where you remember who you were before the scroll. The path back isn't easy. It feels uncomfortable. It might even feel like physical pain. That restless, crawling anxiety when the screen goes dark, that's not boredom, that's withdrawal. That's your brain realizing it has to generate its own dopamine again. It has to create its own meaning. And at first it won't know how. But if you sit with it long enough, something shifts. The noise quiets. The itch fades. And for the first time in years, you hear yourself think. Emma finally puts the phone face down. The screen goes dark. The room goes quiet. For the first time all day, she isn't looking at a screen, she's just breathing. The silence feels heavy, but it also feels like home. The autopsy is complete. The patient is awake. The question is, are you?